Hi everyone and welcome to my course. I'm really happy to have you here. I hope these videos will be interesting for you. You will learn a lot and improve as an artist. In this course, we're gonna go on the whole workflow and step-by-step creation process of the image you see on your screens right now. This is an insanely complex approach, so we're gonna go in depth in every single topic and we're gonna get in details in a bit. But for now, I'm gonna tell you a bit about the concept of the image itself. The setting itself is a near future. There's a lot of abandoned factories like oil refineries, etc. And people are trying to reuse them once again. So they're coming back and they try to grow algae now, because basically algae is already developing and in the future it will only get bigger and it will be used as a fuel, as a food and all other stuff. So this is basically the concept of the old abandoned factories that are getting renovated and are getting used for growing the algae. Right now on your screens you can see the initial artwork I did some time ago. So we'll take this as a base concept, we'll improve upon it, change the atmosphere, change the vibe and see what we can get out of it. This course is mostly aimed towards people that already know some basics and just want to improve their skills and become a better artist. But even if you're a beginner, don't get intimidated, because in this course I'm gonna go over the basics in Blender, all the tools, and I'm gonna explain what I'm doing and I'll try to do it gradually. And we're gonna go as well over Photoshop basic tools, so hopefully you can follow along as well and get something out of this course. In this course we're gonna use the limited amount of software packages. The first one will be Blender version 2.91. This is going to be our main 3D tool for modeling, creating the scene, lighting, creating materials and rendering. Second software is Photoshop version 2021. This is our main 2D tool where we're going to take the images from render, do the photo bashing, overpainting and post-processing. And the third one is a small tool called PureRef, and this is mainly used for keeping photographs and references and organizing them. The reason why we try to keep the amount of software used to a low number is because both pieces of software are already complex on their own, so it will take time to master them anyways. And even with the limited amount of tools, you can get really nice results. So I believe it will be easier to follow along if we don't just jump from one software to another all the time and keep it more consistent. I'm gonna go through the whole workflow of creating such an image from scratch with every single step explained and showed to you. But I'm gonna say that we're not gonna go into the sketching or the composition in the beginning, and the reason for that is we're gonna use the special workflow where you don't need the sketch, and having the general concept idea of the environment and setting is already more than enough to start working. This special approach is called procedural sketching. So we basically creating a number of 3D models or elements and then randomly procedurally placing them in some scene that we already specify. So basically we're using computer for its best potential and what is best at to generate a big amount of numbers or elements in our case, and then we just take the best results out of it. So computer suggests the placement of objects and lighting etc. around the scene, and we just as an art director go around it, pick the best angles, pick the best composition, take it as a basis, improve upon it and then make a final piece out of it. This approach is very good and interesting for a number of reasons. One of them is sometimes you get really unexpected and interesting results that will be pretty hard to think on your own, but as a true artist you can always see something nice and beautiful in just random things, and this is exactly what we're doing. So computer is just doing some results randomly and you see something out of it, take it and improve upon it. Secondly, you don't have to create any sketches on your own and you don't have to waste your time on doing the basic stuff. So basically you're more like an art director than a concept artist, because imagine computer being your concept artist already and it gives you hundreds of results, and then you take in your hands the direction of the image, where it goes, how it looks like, what's the atmosphere, what's the feel of the scene, and then you take it and work with it. Let's get back to our main workflow, and I can say that our whole course will be mostly divided into two big sections, one of them being 3D and Blender and another one being 2D and Photoshop. In Blender we're gonna start off with creating our own model models. So we're gonna create a number of them, and this is gonna be our main elements that are gonna be scattered around the scene. As well, we're gonna import some models from third-party models from different platforms and optimize them, fit them, and make them nice for our scene as well. So by the end of it, we're gonna have amount of objects that can be scattered. From there, we're gonna move on towards procedural scattering. So we're gonna take all elements that we have and place them around some specified geometry, which will be our scene or our factory in this case. Then we're gonna do the basic lighting to get the whole mood and set the mood for an atmosphere for the piece itself, and try to search for nice angles and pick a lot of cameras so we can have something to choose from. From there, we're gonna render all the cameras that we placed, put them on one big spreadsheet, and select the best images. So when we have the best two, like top 2 or top 3, we will go again in the scene and improve on them, make them fit more and convey our idea more, and compare them once again so we are sure that we selected the best composition. In my opinion, tweaking the light and selecting the best camera angle and moving around the scene is one of the most interesting parts of the whole course, because it's the most relaxing and you have the biggest amount of freedom, and you're basically like an art director just going around and selecting everything, because at this point this is one of the most crucial stages, and your final image is highly dependent on the composition you choose right now, and all your decisions will influence the whole scene later on. So we will not hurry on this stage, and we will take our time to make sure that we nailed the lighting, we nailed the composition, and we have the best available option for us at that moment. Then comes a bit repetitive part where we just take the angle we selected and go in and properly place all the elements, replace the procedurally scattered one with the proper one, make everything, use the proper metrics to fit in the scene, to use the right sizes, put the human models, and just see how the scale in environment works in general. When we have all the models and the scene in general set up, we will go into materials and textures. So I'll show you how my approach towards creating the shaders and how to sometimes save time or how to make them look good and interesting. After we have the whole scene, we just do the final tweaks and set the proper rendering parameters and hit render. And at this point, we're gonna go from Blender to Photoshop, which will be our main next section. In Photoshop, I'm gonna show you my approach on how I paint, how I do overpaint, how to select images and properly embed them in the scene, and what makes them look believable and fit the whole atmosphere, and what makes them stand out, and how to fix it. Then we're gonna go in last big and important part, which is post-processing, because basically there we're gonna go the final adjustments, we're gonna adjust the perspective a bit, we're gonna give the depth to the scene, we're gonna separate the planes and elements, and as well we're gonna do the color corrections. And this is very important step, because after we do all the tweaks, overpaints and photo bashing, we have to unify the image once again and make it coherent and consistent. And this is what mainly the color correction part is about. So I'll basically show you my tips and tricks and how I do it, and what tools I use, and what's my approach, and step-by-step guide basically to post-process the image. So hopefully you will learn a lot from me, and this big course will be interesting for you, and you'll get some nice tips and tricks and how to use them in different occasions. So see you in the course, and welcome.